Hey guys, we're Ali and Gary with Roll With Us DMs, professional game masters with over 17 years of experience that also love to go on some side quests with our friends, which you can see here on our channel.
Thank you for checking out our videos. If you haven't already, you should quest down to the subscription button and strike the notification bell so you never miss our content.
Our links are in the description below.
Consider becoming a channel member to access epic perks, including playing in one of our games. Now, on with the video!
Hello there. Welcome to the stream. I have with me Zanny. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey y'all, Zanny here.
Did you want to throw out any of your links or anything?
Sure. If you want to follow me, you can catch me on twitch.tv/ss4zanny.
Cool. So I asked Zanny to come on with me today so that I had a collaboration to talk about what multiclassing in DC20 would most likely feel like. Unfortunately, at this point, DC20 does not have subclasses or the later level class features in order to do a proper DC20 build, but what I can do is take 5th edition and I took the Barbarian and did a 20th level Barbarian build, and then I spent the talents that you would get in DC20 in a very similar way to how you would spend them in DC20. So we're going to use 5th edition as a backbone, as a backdrop to kind of showcase what will be possible in the Dungeon Coach's new game DC20, which, by the way, the Kickstarter's live. It's killing it right now. First day, he earned over $400,000 on the DC20 Kickstarter. He's hoping for at least 1.3 million, because that would put it on par with other indie tabletop role-playing games. And with 400,000 in the first day, I hope he does that and more, because the game is pretty amazing.
Oh yeah. At the rate he's going, he'll make his goal in less than a week.
That would be amazing. Fully funded in the first minute, but that was only a very small $20,000 target. Hit the first stretch goal within the first, I think it was 10 minutes of 100,000, and they've currently unlocked 3 stretch goals. The first was extra monsters. The second was the 5e conversion guide, which I'm super excited for, being able to convert 5e content to DC20. And then the third stretch goal unlocked last night during the live stream was the Spellblade class, which is what is going to replace the Paladin in the game. It'll be the hybrid caster martial class, so really excited to see what that brings. He also let out that Paladin is probably going to be a subclass for the Spellblade, so very cool.
Interesting.
So as you can see on the screen above me here, I have the first 5 levels of the character build. Just to give you an idea of where the talents fit, this character gained all of the normal Barbarian features for levels 1 through 20, and then at levels 2, 4, 7, and then 10 through 20, it gained essentially a talent, which is DC20's way of doing multi-classing. You spend a talent to pick up a feature from another class. There are some guidelines which I guess are good to go over quick. The first thing that how it works in DC20 is that you have to take pretty much like lower level features from the multi-class from the classes that you want to gain a feature from. So if you are second level and you're spending a talent, you can't gain a second level feature from a class. You have to wait until you get that fourth level talent to gain a second level feature.
Right, so you'd basically be trailing behind whichever class you're trying to take from.
Correct. This is not as easy to do in 5th edition because 5th edition doesn't use talents, doesn't use this kind of multi-classing. So I had to kind of like come up with my own guidelines to some degree. And the other thing is that in DC20, by level 10, you have a complete character with all the features of a 20th level character in D&D. So it's
their
not
level
a one.
Scaling appears to be very different.
It's very condensed, and then from levels 10 through 20, you're actually gaining like prestige things and filling out your character with either talent spent on things within your class, other subclasses within your class, or with more multi-classing if you wanted to pick up features from other classes just to fill out your character. But that obviously doesn't really work one-to-one in 5e. So a couple of the rules, the way that they are in DC20 that I did still use here is that you can't pick up a subclass feature from a class until you've spent at least one talent on a feature from that class. That does some funky things with clerics and stuff. I don't really necessarily want to get into that right now, but since clerics, all their first level features are pretty much from their subclass, you would not be able to pick those up until you could pick up a subclass feature, which is level 7 is for DC20 when you can pick up a subclass feature. So
because otherwise that would be virtually broken.
Yeah, definitely. And then the other thing is that if you wanted the capstone ability of a subclass, the top level thing, you had to be high enough that you were a higher level than the level that you would get that feature, and you had to already spend at least one talent within that subclass. So if you wanted the premier ability from a subclass, you have to get one of the lower level features from that subclass first.
So hypothetically then, what level would you have to be if you wanted to gain a capstone feature? Since aren't the capstone features at the highest level anyway?
Well, the class capstones are, but the subclass capstones, with the exception of the paladin, I believe, are lower level. The fighter, I believe, gets theirs at 18th, so you'd have to be like 19th or 20th. In theory, the only way to get the capstone for the paladin would be to be a paladin. I guess unless like there was a rider where if you were level 20, you could grab that at 20th level. And this is just one of those weird things with 5th edition as far as the comparison between that and DC20 is that in DC20, you have every class getting the same kind of features at the same levels, so that like every class gets some class features at 1st and 2nd level. Every class gets their subclass at 3rd level, where in 5th edition you have like clerics, warlocks, sorcerers getting their subclasses at level 1, wizards and druids getting their subclasses at level 2, and most of the other classes getting them at level 3. But that doesn't really play as nicely, as cleanly with this talent system as it will in DC20 for that reason. And then the other thing is like even the subclass capstones for DC20, all the subclass capstones I believe are level 9. So in in 5e you have the paladin getting it at level 20 as almost like a class capstone, but it's also their subclass capstone, and then other classes getting them earlier, 18th level. I think some classes get their capstones as early as 17th level, maybe even earlier. I feel like somebody
Possibly. I mean, when you say subclass capstone, what would be an example of that?
Good question. Let me look at the Rogue, because I feel like the Rogue gets their subclass capstone at 15th, maybe even. And then the rest from 15th to 20th, there's no more subclass features. It's the top, like the latest subclass, the latest level that you get a subclass feature. And I think that the Rogue might get theirs, I think at 15th. Whereas...
Okay, so it's the latest subclass feature, not the capstone feature for the class itself.
And no, I'm wrong. Anyway, the Rogue, yes, for the subclass, the Rogue gets another one at 17th level also.
Okay. So, like, for example, if you were to try and get the capstone feature for, say, the Druids, you would need to go full class Druid, or would you be able to get the Druid's capstone feature, Arch Druid?
Well, that's just a class feature, not the subclass feature.
Okay.
Druid subclasses. I got a player's guide here, so I'm just kind of flip through quick. Druid's subclass feature.
Geeked out. Same here.
14th level, I believe. It looks like. Yeah, Druids actually, from 14th level on, Druids don't get any more subclass features. Everything else that they get are just their basic class features and improved spellcasting. So that's even earlier than the Ranger. The Rangers get their last subclass feature at 15th level. But again, like 5e subclass features are just kind of all over the place, where in DC20, all subclasses will have a capstone at level 9. So it's just easier to work with. Let's see, if you guys want to play in one of my games. Okay, cool. Thanks for the shout out, Ali Ria DM.
Interesting. The chat box here is different than the chat box that's in Twitch itself.
Oh,
it's behind.
A little bit. Twitch is a little bit behind. So anyway, it will be cleaner in DC20, but for this 5th edition conversion, it's more just to see what's possible in DC20 and less for like saying that 5e should adopt this. But I do think that it is a better system in that, okay, so I just switch to Pathfinder for a second, and I would say that Pathfinder does multiclassing kind of better than 5th edition in that you have your primary class and you always level in that class, so you never fall behind on your spellcasting if you're a spellcaster or your higher level class features. But you know, like in 5th edition, you're taking that full, if you're a wizard and you take a full level of fighter, you're now a level behind on your spell slots, on your spell progression, and in Pathfinder that would not be the case. In DC20 that's not the case, because if you are a wizard, you're always leveling as a wizard, and then at certain points you're gaining these talents, and if you spend them on a multi-class to pick up a feature from another class, then you're still leveling as a wizard, but you're also gaining this feature. You're not gaining the whole class, just a feature, which is similar to Pathfinder again, where you take a dedication feat and then you get like a small package of this is what a fighter is, and then you take more feats later on to gain more fighter things, but you're kind of forced down a feat tree and you're stuck in that, like if you chose fighter then you have to take more fighter things, where DC20 is saying you have this multi-class talent, spend it on what you want, which is really cool. And so when we go over this build, you'll see how we've picked and chose the things that would be the most impactful.
That's one thing that I don't like about 5e, is that if you want to get some of the best features, you have to straight class in a lot of different sources. Like, for example, with Warlocks. A lot of their best features, you only get them if you straight class Warlock.
Yeah, it kind of depends if you're talking multi-class or like those higher level features. Like a lot of people would say that Warlock is one of the most ridiculous low-level dips. You take 1 or 2 levels and you're, then just go into something else just to pick
True.
up Eldritch Blast, Agonizing Blast, subclass. But yes, the higher-level Warlock stuff is good.
Right. I was talking about the high-level Warlock invocations, for example.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what do you say we get into the build?
Sure.
I think we've covered, the background of what this is about and what it's gonna, what the point is, what it looks like. So, again, looking above here, at level 1, we automatically as a barbarian picked up Rage and Unarmored Defense. Rage having the damage that we take on bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, and then the Unarmored Defense, which is giving us another way to calculate our armor class. Plus that D12 hit die, which is good. In this case, for this character, I was thinking that it would use a sword and a shield, and you'll see with level 2 why. I know that a barbarian normally wouldn't, but...
I was going to say a barbarian with weapons.
Well, a barbarian with weapons is fine, but you usually think of them with a great weapon dealing, a D10 or a D12 damage. But you're going to make up for that damage by using the talent at level 2 that you wouldn't normally have access to. So, I guess up front also, I didn't choose a race or an ancestry or any of that stuff for this character because none of that is as relevant in just kind of show classing how the talent system would work. But you could...
Is it relevant in DC20?
For a full build, sure. For a full build. But I really just wanted to showcase the talents. So that's why I haven't really gone into I would take this race and I didn't even honestly think too much into ability scores in that because the point of this build really is just the talents. So
okay.
I'm sure that there'll be a little confusion maybe if I didn't clear that up as far as why that's not there.
I will say it does look like when it comes to level 4, for example, you get the option of the ASI or Action Surge, or do you get both?
You get both. You get both.
Wow.
And because you're not multi-classing in the sense of 5e, you'll always hit those ASI levels. That's another downside to multi-classing in 5th edition, is that those ASI levels are tied to your actual class level and not your character level. One of the things that I've put forward, and I'm actually using in my home games now, going forward, is taking the ASI levels away from your class progression and giving them to you at character level. Well, I have them actually spread out more throughout and as +1 bonuses most of the time. But at the levels in your class that you would get in ASI, you just automatically get a feat instead. So I think that just leads to better character growth. But yes, you'll get the ASI either to improve an ability score or pick up a feat, and then you get the talent that then you could spend. And in this case, you see we took Action Surge. But
depending on which talent you pick, they could be in a lot of ways more useful than taking a feat.
In some ways, yeah. It does almost make the feats not irrelevant, but maybe less needed. And if you did take them, if you did take them, they would probably combo pretty well with the talents. So, looking at 2nd level, all barbarians get Reckless Attack, where you can give yourself advantage on all of your attacks at the cost of making all attacks made at you have advantage. So, double-edged sword, but usually since you're raging, it's fine because you are going to take half damage, and then you want to be that tank. You want to encourage people to hit you, So this is letting you be more accurate and also be a better tank because you're gonna say, "Hey, hit me! I'm giving you advantage."
Right.
And then danger sense, which I'm not 100%. Second level, you gain an uncanny sense of when things nearby aren't as they should be. You have advantage on dexterity saving throws against effects that you can see, such as traps and spells. So, that's a pretty good defensive ability from the Barbarian. And then we got that first talent, using it on a fighter feature. It had to be a first level feature. I tried to keep as much spellcasting out of this build as I could just because it would be more complicated and also a Barbarian. But the fighting style I thought would be helpful. The dueling fighting style is going to let you get +2 damage with that one-handed weapon. You're also getting +2 damage from raging. So you're getting +4 damage then with your probably D8 longsword or whatever you have. So that's where I think that
So would that be a D8 or would it be a D12 by that point?
Well, it would still be the D8 for the longsword, and then you have to swing it one-handed with dueling. So you would have that, and I figure a shield. So you're going to have a higher armor class than most barbarians, and you're going to have +4 to damage, 2 from the dueling and 2 from the rage, plus a D8 for the weapon. So pretty solid. Oh, and then plus your strength. So, I mean, you, depending on how you generated your stats, if you rolled or whatnot, like you could be pushing +9, could be a D8 +9. So you'd be doing pretty good, damage-wise. But also picking up this fighting style gives us our dip into fighter that is going to be necessary to pick up fighter subclass features later on. Little sneak peek, I guess. At third level, all barbarians get subclass. So zealot barbarians seem to make the most sense. That gives the barbarian divine fury and warrior of the gods. Warrior of the gods is another defensive feature where if somebody tries to raise you from the dead, they don't need material components. And the divine fury, I'm just going to double check.
Sounds like that would come in handy.
I believe it's while you're raging, you deal an extra D8 damage on the first attack each turn. First time you hit. Case I need that one again. Sorry, I don't know why I didn't think that it would come in handy to have the ability spelled out. It's a D6 plus half your barbarian level. While you're raging, the first creature you hit on each of your turns with a weapon attack takes extra damage equal to a D6 plus half your barbarian level. So,
which at this point would be 5, so rounded down would be extra 2.
Yeah. So that attack, because you only get one attack right now, is going to deal while you're raging a D8 plus a D6 plus 6, I believe, plus your your ability modifier, whatever that is, which is probably minimum 3, could be up to 5. So you're dealing pretty good damage, which is pretty much what I was going for with this build. And then at level 4, right, things start to really take off because you're getting that ability score increase your feet. Lots of good options there, whether it's increasing your strength or grabbing a feat that would be fitting. But we get that talent that lets us pick up a first or second level feature. I mean, for DC20, it would be a first or second level feature just from the way that, like, because third level you get a subclass, and you would not be eligible with this talent to pick up a subclass feature. That's a 7th level to do, just in the rules for DC20. So I followed that as well. I would say for 5e, like, I would, like, the cleric, you could pick up a 3rd level cleric feature maybe, but we took the 2nd level action surge feature. Amazing feature. So now we can attack twice in the same turn, once per short rest, and let me just look at that wording on Divine Fury again. While you're raging, the first creature you hit on each of your turns. Okay, so that would not trigger, again, I don't believe, with Action Surge. You would only get that extra d6, that extra damage from Divine Fury on the first attack. But you're getting 2 attacks now, if you want, or whatever. Action Surge is just a powerful feature. And then at 5th level, all barbarians get extra attacks. So now we're in a good spot to... We could get 4 attacks in a turn per short rest. Just very solid. Lots of damage. Any final thoughts on levels 1 through 5, Zanny, before we move on to levels 6 to 10?
At the moment, no. I think I'm caught up.
So here is levels 6 through 10. At level 6, all barbarians are getting a subclass feature. For us in the Zealot Barbarian, we're getting Fanatical Focus, right? Starting at 6th level, the divine power that fuels your rage can protect you. If you fail a saving throw while you're raging, you can re-roll it, but you must use the new roll. You can use this ability once per rage. So just another defensive feature. 7th level, we're getting Feral Instinct from the Barbarian, and we've also done something really cool here that DC20 allows, which is you can actually get subclass features from other subclasses within your class. So this is the first time that we're eligible for a subclass feature at level 7, and I don't know any barbarian that wouldn't want the Totem Spirit Bear. So now our rage is going to resist all damage except psychic. Half damage on everything while we're raging except psychic. So
which if you played a Emerald Gem Dragon, if my memory is correct, that one would also give you the resistance to psychic, so that would round out that entire table.
It could, yeah, that is true. There is the question that's worth asking: would it have made sense to just go Bear Barbarian earlier, Bear Totem, and then either forget Zealot entirely or pick up the Zealot features later? But I felt like this is the premier feature of the Bear Totem, of the Totem Barbarian, is the Bear Totem. And the other features are okay, but like that's the one that everybody plays Totem for. So right. The Zealot is going to help us more overall, especially in dealing extra damage, and then we can just grab that Bear feature that, you know, we want to round us up.
Exactly. It's almost like a buffet, so to speak. You can pick and choose what features you want, provided you're willing to wait to get to that point.
Yes. Also, this isn't the only, another sneak peek, this isn't the only time that we're going to grab a feature from a subclass in the Barbarian. But it is cool that also, well, noteworthy that you're not gaining the whole subclass, just this one feature. Because I believe the Bear Barbarian gets other features at level 3 beyond... yeah, at 3rd level you get Spirit Seeker also, and you're not getting that, which is what lets you cast Speak with Animals and Beast Sense as rituals. But you're not getting that, because you're only getting the... I mean, you could take that instead, but, I mean, again, like, everybody would be at the Bear, not for that, but for the resistance. It's more an extra feature, the ability to cast those spells, I think. So, let's see. Level 8 is an ASI level in 5th edition, and another cool thing, and I'll shout out to Allie for helping me with this chart, but she incorporated in there the DC20 features. So these are the things that you would get at these levels, and you see that at level 8 in DC20, you're already at your class capstone feature that normally you would get at level 20 in 5th edition. And then you're getting your subclass capstone at level 9. Not much else. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
What I was asking earlier was when it comes to the class capstone feature, are you required to pick from, in this case, the barbarian? Or can you pick a class capstone feature from a different class?
In DC20?
Yes.
Well, your class capstone would be tied to your class, whatever the barbarian's class capstone would be, and then your subclass capstone would be tied to whatever subclass you picked initially. If you used your 7th level talent like we did to grab a barbarian feature, a barbarian subclass feature, you wouldn't gain the capstone from that class from this. But there is a feature later on through the higher level talents that you could grab another subclass capstone, but you would have to
subclass capstone, not another class capstone.
Right. And so for us,
okay,
as a zealot barbarian, again, we're just kind of look ahead a little bit, but you know what? Barbarian's another one. Their class capstone is at 14th level, so we'll see that here. But when we get that that class capstone or subclass capstone, it's 14th level. Where in DC20 you're getting it at 9th. Another example of just how the subclasses are all over the place in 5th edition, and you're getting, like some subclass capstones at level 20, some at 18, some at 17, 15, 14.
Right.
And then from the point that you get your capstone, the thing that's weird when you get it earlier in 5th edition is that then, in the case of this barbarian, from like level 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, there's no more subclass features. Like, your subclass is done. So...
yeah. Which basically, at that point, you're just waiting to get the capstone at 20 and be done with it.
Right. Also noteworthy that the barbarian in 5th edition has a really solid class capstone. I've not played a barbarian at level 20, but it is very strong. We could talk about that when we get there, but lots of good options here with the ASI. Either you have your strength capped at 20 by now, or maybe you want to bump Constitution, maybe you take a feat. So moving on to level 9, you get brutal critical, all barbarians. So this is just, you get an extra die of damage when you hit with a critical. But you're going to see at level 10 how we're going to make this even more impactful. Because at level 10, all barbarians get zealous... they get a subclass feature, which is Zealous Presence. So for the Zealot Barbarian, we're getting, as a bonus action, you unleash a battle cry infused with divine energy. Up to 10 other creatures of your choice within 60 feet of you that can hear you gain advantage on attack rolls and saving throws until the start of your next turn. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. So it's a once per day bonus action, inspire your entire team for a turn. Pretty cool. But
so what is the epic boon talent? Does that mean what I think it means?
So how in 5th edition there are epic boons?
Yes, I don't recall ever getting to actually use one, but I know of them.
Yeah, so there's going to be that kind of equivalent, and so this is going to be a talent that can be spent to pick up an epic boon. So at 10th level, which is like DC20's equivalent of like level 20, you're getting like a really big bonus, really. And you know, there's probably going to be a bunch of really cool options. There are already a lot of cool options in 5th edition. I remember it might be the only time that I've ever been able to choose one, but I actually chose to have a second 9th level spell slot. So yeah,
Same.
yeah. But there are some really good options, really cool options, and it lets you just be more powerful, play just a more flexible character. It really just depends on what talent you pick, what epic boon, because they can do a lot of different things. But you're also gaining a talent at 10th level. So actually, it's epic boon and a talent. So you get the epic boon and you get a talent that you could spend. Yeah, you do get you do get both. Yeah. And so what we did here is we're high enough level. 7th level is when you could start picking up a subclass feature, as long as you have at least one talent spent in a class. We've spent 2 talents in fighter, so now we can grab a subclass feature from the fighter. And I thought about it, I kicked it around, and believe it or not, I went with the champion, and the reason is the improved critical. So we already have brutal critical, and now we're expanding that, so we have a better chance of getting those criticals that are going to deal extra damage. Again,
so you'd be getting the brutal critical at 19 or at 19 instead of, instead of just 20.
Right. We're going to get our criticals because of the improved critical on a 19 or a 20, and then when we crit, we're going to deal an extra die of damage, and so we're going to have a better chance of critting because we're already a barbarian, so we're attacking recklessly with advantage most likely. We have now an expanded crit range of 19 or 20, and when we crit, we're going to deal an extra die of damage, and we're dealing the extra d6 plus half of our barbarian level, plus we're dealing an extra, we're 9th level now, so our rage damage has improved. 9th level rage damage plus 3, plus the 2 from dueling. We're dealing a ton of damage, I think, at this point. And an extra attack, so we're attacking 4 times a turn, per short rest. But
which normally for a barbarian would be virtually impossible
without normal 5e multiclassing. Yeah. So, any other thoughts on this chart before we move on to levels 11 to 15?
I can't imagine how much better this could get. I am very curious.
Well, it gets exciting from here because in DC20, because your character is complete at level 10, levels 11 through 20, you gain a talent every single level. So to simulate that, I took a talent on a multi-class, a feature here and here and here and here, every single level, and it's all uphill from, or it just gets better from here. So
yeah.
So here's our transition to levels 11 to 15. So you can see in there in the DC20 features, you get a prestige path, and it kind of dictates how you level up from levels 11 to 20. In that, if you pick
what does prestige path mean here?
Well, yeah, I wasn't able to do anything with that because that's more like your levels 11 through 20 class features, or like your character features. It's not really necessarily the talent system, but you do get a talent every level, as you can see in the chart. I can really quick just tell you that if you pick the martial path, then you gain more stamina than you normally would, which is a resource in DC20 for martials to spend on maneuvers and special martial abilities. And then if you pick the spellcasting one, you get more mana and more spells. So you kind of expand from levels 11 to 20 in a more of a spellcaster way, and then there's a hybrid path where you kind of get a little bit of both. Your progression is not as high in the martial end as taking the martial prestige path, and it's not as high in the spellcasting end as if you take the spellcaster route, but it's a good balance between the two. I haven't really taken too much time to talk about or look at the prestige system, but I would just say that, like, I have these thoughts coming in my head now about it. If you
Maybe that could be your next video.
Maybe. But just as like a quick overview, if let's say you were, I keep coming back to barbarian, so let's say you were a barbarian, maybe because of this video, or it's like one of the first letters in the classes, like B for barbarian, but anyway, you could spend your first 10 levels as a barbarian, as not a spellcaster, take no spellcasting talents, not pick up any features from a spellcasting class, and then once you hit level 11, you take a spellcaster prestige path, and then gain like a ton of spellcasting as you progress towards level 20. I mean, that would be an incredible character arc or like character growth that you would not normally see in any other system that I'm aware of.
True.
So, yeah, so the prestige path is not really going to play into this video. We do get a talent, though, now every level. Barbarians automatically get Relentless Rage, which I believe it lets you not stop raging. At 11th level, your rage can keep you fighting despite grievous wounds. If you drop to 0 hit points while you're raging, you don't die outright. You can make a DC 10 Constitution saving throw. If you succeed, you drop to 1 hit point instead. Each time you use this feature after the first, the DC increases by 5. And when you finish a short or long rest, the DC resets to 10. This actually is super powerful with the Zealot Barbarian, which we will see at level 14. But the other thing that we're getting, aside from the normal Barbarian Relentless Rage, is another talent. And I decided that Paladin would be a good one to dip into. So we spend a talent, we pick up a lower level non-subclass feature from the Paladin, and Lay on Hands seemed iconic. Also a way to restore the hit points that we're losing through granting advantage on the attacks against us. More probably after combat, but also cool that you
Nothing saying you can't, is there?
No.
Do it during combat?
You may not want to spend your action on it unless you used Action Surge. Day 2 attacks and then Action Surge, Lay on Hands. But interesting that Lay on Hands you can use while you're raging, so it's healing that you can do even while enraged. A raging barbarian using Lay on Hands to heal. I wonder what that looks like.
I'm picturing like Majin Buu and his regeneration.
Okay. So I do have to talk about how I was handling spellcasting and the talents. I tried to make it as close to DC20 as I could, but have it still function in 5e. So every level, unless you're a full caster, every level that you spend a talent on a spellcasting class, a full spellcasting class, you would get the equivalent of spell slots as a first level caster in the multiclassing table in Player's Handbook. So like a first level spellcaster has 2 first level spell slots. And then you would gain either 1 cantrip and 1 spell of an appropriate level for the talent that you spent. Like if it was on a first level feature or your first talent spent in that class, then you can only pick up a first level spell from that class. Or in this case, the paladin doesn't get cantrips unless they take a fighting style for it. So this character will not gain any cantrips because I never took that fighting style. But this is the half caster, the paladin, so it's only going to gain those spellcasting levels every 2 talents that are spent on paladin features. So currently, by taking lay on hands, it's not going to pick up any spellcasting, no spell slots. It just has that lay on hands ability. And normally, again, just to distinguish between taking a level in paladin and 5e, you would normally get the lay on hands and also divine sense, and you're not getting divine sense here, just lay on hands.
Right.
A lot of people think divine sense is not very good, and in general it is up to the DM how useful it is. But
true. Been there before.
Yeah, I had a DM one time who inspired me in the way that I run it now, which is I asked the player what does their character see as evil, and then they can pick up on those things as well because, you know, I don't know, it makes it better, more flavorful, a lot
more
cooler.
fun too.
Yeah. So 12 level, we get an ASI again, and then we get another talent to spend on a thing. And now that level 11 is when the fighter gets its extra attack, and we already have extra attack, I figure this is the best time, now that it's lower level than we are, to pick this up. And now we can attack 3 times per attack action, 6 times a turn with action surge. Yeah. So we are like head and shoulders above a 12th level barbarian in 5th edition.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially because you couldn't be a 12th level barbarian and pick up this feature, because even if you were a 20th level character, you couldn't be 12 levels into barbarian and 11 levels into fighter, because that's 23 levels.
Right.
You only have 20 levels. So yeah, we're doing pretty good here with the critical, no less.
At the rate this is going, it's going to leave 5e in the dust.
Well, I mean, not really my goal, but if 5e used a talent system like this, you can see how it would be interesting. Anyway.
It would be under 5e mechanics. It would be broken.
And the other
time.
The other thing to keep in mind is that we're continuing to progress as a barbarian. We're getting that D12 hit die every level. We're getting more rages per day because we are continuing that barbarian progress. Our rage damage is improving, but we're still grabbing.
How many times is a barbarian allowed to rage at this point?
12th level barbarian. 5 times per day. 5 times per day with a +3 on the rage damage still. That does cap out at unlimited at level 20, and at level 17 it looks like it goes to 6 times per day. Although it is another improvement, I think, to DC20, just to throw it out there as a possible option. Something that I'm willing to test play too in 5th edition. But DC20 allows the barbarian to rage an unlimited number of times, and the way they balance it is by lowering the barbarian's armor class by 5. So,
which again, if you know how to do it, you can get around that too.
Yeah. So here's just a real quick,
especially with this barbarian being able to take a shield. Just give him a +3 shield. That'll negate the drop in armor class.
Some of it, yeah, for sure. I mean, it still won't be as high as if they weren't raging, or if they had the normal 5e rage. But on one hand, you have the 5e barbarian, resists bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. And then, of course, if you have the bear totem, then you resist all damage. So you're taking half damage on everything if you're a bear totem. If you're a regular barbarian, you're still taking half damage on bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. That's really strong, and I think that's why they had to limit the number of rages that you get. Pathfinder 2nd Edition...
Doesn't a barbarian also get to the point where they... Oh, never mind. I was going to say they negate 3 for each hit, and then I remembered, no, that's Heavy Armor Master.
Right. Pathfinder 2nd Edition barbarians can rage an unlimited number of times, although they need a minute cooldown between the rages. So, like, you rage, once that rage ends, you need to wait a minute. Once that minute's up, you can rage again. The rage gives you extra damage, a ton of extra damage, but it lowers your armor class by 1, which is a big deal in Pathfinder 2nd Edition because it also means you're easier to be crit. And it gives you temporary hit points, but you don't really resist damage. Like, eventually you do resist some damages, and those damages depend on what your subclass is, but in general, like, you're not resisting all this damage like you do in 5th edition. But here's where DC20, I think, like, just knocks it out of the park. You can rage an unlimited number of times. You don't need that minute cooldown. You resist pretty much all damage like a bear barbarian, everything except Radiant, Umbral, which is DC20's version of Necrotic, Sonic, and Psychic. So you resist all other damage types, fire, cold, just like a bear barbarian. And you can rage an unlimited number of times. Why? Because you're dropping your armor class by 5 and you're much easier to hit them. But you're resisting so much damage in comparison. And then the other thing, and then we should probably get back on topic, the barbarian's just really cool, I think, in DC20, the way that they have it, is that damage rounds up. Like, you always round up in DC20, so that means that, like, if you take 3 damage, though, and you resist half, it goes to 1.5 and then rounds up to 2. Where in 5th edition, if you took 3 damage, it would be 1.5 and round down to 1. So the damage resistance isn't as strong in that sense that, like, you know, the odd numbers don't round down, they're going to round up. So if you took 5 damage, it would be 2.5 and round up to 3. Where in, you know, 5th edition, it would be rounded down to 2. So maybe it's the combination of the two, the way that DC20 rounds its numbers up, and the fact that your armor class is lowered, makes it balanced to where you can give an unlimited amount of rages. So I just think that's really cool.
True.
So let's see. 13th level. So this is where we took that next subclass feature from the Barbarian. We've got the Brutal Critical improvement, so now we're dealing 2 extra dice of damage on the criticals. And then we took the subclass feature from the Ancestral Guardians, the Ancestral Protectors. So when we hit a creature with an attack on a turn, they have disadvantage to hit anybody except us. So this makes us a better tank. But the thing that we can do that most barbarians can't do, unless you take a very specific build, we could hit 6 people in 1 turn, giving 6 targets disadvantage on hitting anybody but us. And if we really want to be a tank and incentivize them to hit us, we can also then grant them advantage to hit us. So if there's 6 enemies, we hit them all. Hey, hit me. You have disadvantage to hit all my friends, and you have advantage to hit me. Hit me already. Yep. But, yeah.
I could see naming that build the poker face.
Because taunting people to hit you is one of the hardest things about being a tank in 5th edition, because it's so hard to actually force things to hit you. Unless, you know, depending on your DM and if they metagame the monsters to, you know, but if they play them straight, like, you know, with tactics that they would actually use, you know, they might hit you, especially in this case, because, like, you've got a big bullseye on yourself and everybody else is kind of defended by these Ancestral Guardians. At level 14, we get Rage Beyond Death. And then, we get another talent. In this point, decided to pick up Divine Smite. Could have taken Divine Smite sooner. I don't think that it's as good as that extra attack from the fighter. And the Ancestral Protectors is just, it's really strong. You could argue that maybe Divine Smite would have been better, but it's 2 times per day that you're going to be able to, deal like 2d8 extra damage. You do have an expanded crit range and reckless attack to give yourself advantage, so you have a good chance of critting. And I think it's worth crunching the numbers on that Smite at this point if you were to crit, because you have a pretty good chance of critting. It would be 2d8, so that doubles to 48, plus Brutal Critical, which would double, I think it would, no, that probably doesn't double. At 9th level, you can roll 1 additional weapon damage die. Okay, right. And you get 2 additional dice at 13th level, and then 3 additional at 17th. So, so the sword is going to double to 2d8, and we already have 48. That's 68, 78, 8d8. So 8d8 damage, plus 2d6 because the Zealous Zealot Barbarian. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. 8d8 plus 2d6 plus 7 from, and then the Rage 3, that's 10, plus 2 from Dueling, 12. Average on a d8 is 5, so 5 times 8 is 40, plus 2d6, the average is 4, 48. Yeah, it's over 50 damage for sure. Then the Rage Beyond Death. So this is where the Zealot Barbarian really shines on this build, because while you're raging, having 0 hit points doesn't knock you unconscious. You still must make death saving throws, and you suffer normal effects of taking damage while at 0 hit points. However, if you would die due to failing death saving throws, you don't die until your rage ends, and you die then only if you still have 0 hit points. So between the Resilient Rage that keeps you at 1 hit point, and then even if you fail that, this is keeping you on your feet. And then all you have to do is use your lay on hands and heal yourself for 1 hit point before your rage ends, and you don't die.
Right.
This character is not unkillable, but like
very hard to.
Yeah.
I will say, for what it's worth, a normal barbarian in 5e, I am hesitant to play. This, however, the way you've got this thing built, I would be curious to try it out.
So here's my honest opinion about the Barbarian and why I am hesitant to play one in 5e. And the reason is, like, 2, 3, even 4 rages a day, it's just not enough. And all of the Barbarian's features are tied, their subclass features are tied to rage. So if you're not raging, you pretty much don't have a subclass. And, like, that just feels terrible. I was trying to find a way to make it where the Barbarian can rage either more often or an unlimited amount of times like Pathfinder or DC20. And the answer, I think, and I would just need to test it, is to lower their armor class. Because if they were getting hit more often, they could resist as much damage as they need to. And they're going to get hit a lot, and it's going to balance that out. And then they could have their subclass features. But, the Zealot Barbarian is just stupid at level 14, and especially if you can heal yourself. But if you have a healer in the party that can heal you before your rage ends, I mean, you pretty much can't die. 15th level, we get Persistent Rage. That is stock Barbarian feature. Your rage is so fierce that it ends early only if you fall unconscious or if you choose to end it. that's the other thing with the 5th edition Rage, as it's written, is that if you don't make an attack or you don't take damage, you lose your Rage. And
Right.
that does not happen in Pathfinder, and it doesn't happen in DC20. So the Rage is such a limited and fragile resource that's my issue with the Barbarian in 5th edition. But what I've currently done is allowed the Barbarian to spend a bonus action to keep raging if they can't make an attack or haven't taken damage. And I think that's where they're going with the new player handbook.
Which would be a clever idea.
Honestly,
Because, again...
Yeah, it's a fine solution, but the better solution is just not even to require that bonus action. Just let the rage continue.
Right, because, I mean, the rage itself is so, for lack of a better term, fragile that it almost becomes futile.
Yeah, because
if you don't
can't make an
exactly
attack, it's gone. And you only have so many per day, and it leads in the beginning of 5th edition to barbarians like stabbing themselves just to take a point of damage just to keep their rage going, which is, I don't know, it's just dumb. There's better ways to do it. And
I think the idea was based on the idea that you would probably only have 3 to 4 combat scenarios per day.
Mm-hmm.
Ergo, you would only need your rage during those times.
Yeah.
But that's going off of Chris.
I think that's true. But I've also learned recently, and honestly, I kind of love this video because just hanging out, 2 nerds hanging out talking about tabletop games. But so we're off topic a little bit here, but Allie used to get mad at me when I would end the initiative, but she had a spell effect up or some other ability that was a minute, and it only lasted for so many rounds, and then it's hard to adjudicate when is that minute up and how many rounds do they have left. I've tried to be a little bit looser with that now, just if I end an initiative to not penalize a player for my decision to end the initiative if but there was recently, see, as a player, I got to witness the other end of it. I had just cast Shadowblade. I only had 2 attacks with it. I had 8 more rounds of it, and we almost ended the initiative tracker. And then it would have been well, I don't know how many rounds do I still have left on my Shadowblade. So we just continued in rounds, and I was able to get a couple more attacks off. But it would have felt really bad wasting a 2nd level spell slot on Shadowblade for 2 attacks and then not being able to maximize its ability. And I could see a barbarian who rages, and then the next round the combat ends, and it's well, I guess I wasted my rage then.
Right, which would be enraging.
Which, actually, I think one of the things that they're doing for the player's handbook is making the rages last for 10 minutes instead of 1 minute, and then a bonus action to keep it going. But I think it's better, probably what I've proposed. Lower the barbarian's armor class, let them rage an unlimited number of times. Yeah, it's cleaner. And honestly, I hate trying to adjudicate a 10-minute time period, because okay, the combat ends, you walk down a hallway, you search a room a little bit, I have to kind of abstract how much of that time is actually passed off of your rage, and I don't know. It's just, it would be better, have it last a minute, let them do it an unlimited number of times. So, let's see, I think we finished this page, didn't we? Persistent
I believe
rage.
so.
Oh
yes.
No, we didn't. We got to persistent rage, and then the talent, channel divinity from the. Now we get a subclass feature from one of the paladin subclasses, and vengeance, yes, vow of enmity, and I just said that by picking the channel divinity feature from the Vengeance Paladin would give you both Channel Divinity options. So Vow of Enmity and Abjure Enemy, I believe it is. But the Vow of Enmity is the main one that you would use, giving you advantage on all attack rolls against them.
Right. Then the next question is, how many times do you get to use that Channel Divinity?
Once per short rest. You would have that Channel Divinity just like a Paladin. Also noteworthy that this is the third Paladin feature, so we, again, wouldn't get any more spellcasting. But we would currently, from the previous level, have 2 first-level spell slots, 1 first-level spell. Bless would be a good option for when you weren't going to rage, or maybe Cure Wounds so that you could heal yourself. But you are a barbarian, you are raging often, and most likely not going to be able to cast the spells in combat, so they're more smite slots than anything else. And now I wish that I had Geeked Out's Mixer, where actually A button could hit smite, smite, smite. I don't know if she's still in the thing, but hit that button for me if you can, even though nobody will hit it.
Right.
Ready to move on to the top of this class. So here's our 16 through 20. At level 16, we're getting that ability score increase as normal, and a talent which we're spending on superior critical from the champion fighter. So this is the top ability for the champion fighter. I believe that is true. But I said that I needed to spend at least 1 talent on a lower feature from the fighter's subclass from the champion before I could take this. But I knew that, well, actually, Survivor is the top. I did not. Oh, I did take that eventually because it's pretty good too, honestly, especially for us.
You took Brutal Critical twice?
This is the improvement to Brutal Critical for level 17. Where you get 3 extra dice of damage when you crit. So
nice.
So you would get 5d8 damage on a crit just from the weapon, without counting smites and things. So this superior critical is expanding our crit range from 18 to 20. It's a 15th level champion ability, so we couldn't take it at 15th level. 16th level was the earliest that we could take it, but now we're critting on 18 through 20 with advantage on our attacks, 6 attacks a turn, well, once per short rest, of course, and yeah, that's just crazy to think. And then when we crit, the amount of damage that we're going to deal, that's 5d8 just on the damage dice from the weapon. Throwing a smite on there, and if you see, there's two more paladin features, which is going to get us to the equivalent of a 3rd level spellcaster, which is 4 first level slots, 2 second level spell slots. Those 2nd level spell slots smiting for 3d8 damage. Then on a crit, of course, 6d8. So you're looking at like 11d8 damage, plus the 2d6 from the Divine Fury. Yeah, we're ripping things apart. And then when we hit things, if they don't die, they have disadvantage to hit anybody but us. Yeah, we're doing good. Doing good things. But yeah, I took this the champion's features from the fighter because we wanted that expanded crit range on a class that wanted to crit. Not that all classes want to crit, but like in this case, like we really benefit from it.
Yeah, we are basically the ultimate crit fisher.
I mean, minus having like rogue levels and sneak attack, but yeah. Let's see. Level 17, we're getting brutal critical, so we're getting that extra damage die, and then from the paladin, aura protection. I mean, it's just iconic.
Oh, that's going to be amazing.
Improves all of our saving throws. It improves the saving throws of all of our allies around us. Let's see. 18th level, Indomitable Might from the Barbarian, and then we took Soul of Vengeance from the Paladin. So let me look that up quick. That was, I think, a pretty good ability. There's one before it, but it just didn't seem necessary. This is going to be from the subclass. So at 15th level, the authority with which you speak your vow of enmity gives you greater power over your foe. When a creature under the effect of your vow of enmity makes an attack, you can use your reaction to make a weapon attack against that creature if it's within range. So, you know, it's just giving you extra off-turn attacks. You're probably going to use your vow of enmity whenever you have it. So it is also another paladin feature, so this is where we're going to get to that, second level spell slots for even better smites. Indomitable Might. Just take a quick look at that. It is a stock barbarian ability. Beginning at 18th level, if your total for a strength check is less than your strength score, you can use that in place of the total. So, like at this point, you should have a 20. So the lowest that you can make on a strength-based check is 20, more than likely.
That's cool.
19th level, we get another ability score increase or feat, and then we took Survivor from the Champion Fighter. So this is the Champion Fighter's capstone. People typically don't have good things to say about the champion other than it's like your vanilla fighter, good to give to a new player. But when you aren't locked into the champion and you can pick things that you want, there's actually a lot of really good features here. So Survivor for us, let's see, well in general, you attain the pinnacle of resilience in a battle. At the start of each of your turns, you regain hit points equal to 5 plus your Constitution modifier if you have no more than half your hit points left. You don't gain this benefit if you have 0 hit points. But, again, we're raging, we're probably recklessly attacking, we're getting hit a lot, we're resisting the damage, but eventually we're going to be at less than half hit points. We could at this point have a 20 Constitution. We could be regaining 10 hit points per round that are then, resisting the damage. So it's almost like having 20 hit points a round recovering. And
which is bonkers.
Yeah, and it's passive. So like on a champion, this is a pretty good feature. But for us as a barbarian, this is like super amazing.
Icing on the cake.
It's super amazing. Like it'll keep us fighting for a long time. And again, being the capstone for the champion, the only way to take it would have been to take a lower level, to take a subclass feature from the champion earlier, and then be a higher level than the level that this capstone would have been granted. That's the stipulation that I put on myself. We took plenty of things from the champion, plenty of things from the fighter, and it's an 18th level feature, so we had to take it at 19. But absolutely, I wanted to grab that.
Right.
And then at level 20, you see in DC20 you get another epic boon, so you end up with 2 total, and then you get another talent. I'm not sure what that is.
Would you be able to take the same epic boon twice?
I'm not sure on that, actually. That's a good question.
Because can you imagine how that could go? If you could, for example, take the 2 epic boons to give yourself 2 extra 9th level spell slots.
Yeah. Yeah. For 5e, yeah. I mean, you wouldn't have, for 5e, you wouldn't have 9th level spell slots at 10th level anyway. If you were capable of getting 2 epic boons, yeah, having 3 9th level slots is crazy. Yeah, again, DC20 doesn't use spell slots either, is a difference. So I'm not sure.
True, they use mana points or something.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. Like, the equivalent of a 9th level spell, as far as I can tell, is that you would be spending 9 mana on that spell. And you have a lot more mana points than you do spell slots typically. Although, when you get to spending 9 mana on one spell, they would go pretty quick. Because you start with 6 and you get 3 every level. So, if you were talking about even well, let's say a 20th level character, I'm not 100% if you how many extra you get for picking the spellcaster prestige, but so let's just talk a 10th level character because I know what that would be. It would be 3 times 9 is 27 plus the 6 that you start with, 33 mana points. But if you were casting spells for 9 mana, well, you couldn't cast spells for 9 mana at that level either, because it's half of your level is the amount that you can spend on a spell, so you can only spend 5. So you could cast 6 spells that cost 5 mana, and then you'd have 3 mana left. But the mana system is amazing in DC20. The spell casting is very flexible and cool. So it is another really cool thing. So level 20. We get.
Hey, we got a follower.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Thank you. From the Barbarian, 20th level. Our capstone is amazing. It is actually the Primal Champion that's there in the fighter category is actually from the Barbarian, and it is our class capstone. At 20th level, you embody the power of the wilds. Your strength and constitution scores increase by 4. Your maximum for those scores is now 24. So we could have a 24 strength and a 24 constitution, which plays really nice with Survivor, where now we could be regaining 12 hit points per turn if we're at less than half hit points. It also plays nice with our Indomitable Might, where we can't get less than a 24 on a strength check. You know what? Did I not spend a talent on level 20? I did. Improved Divine Smite. It's not on this chart, but I have the paper list in front of me. Improved Divine Smite was my 20th level choice. And I'm wrong, actually, then. This is where we get those second level spell slots from the Paladin. Because this is our 6th talent that's spent on Paladin feature. And why improve Divine Smite? Well, I mean, we're already crit fishing, and we're already have this expanded crit range, so why not just deal some more damage? And improve Divine Smite. You are so infused with Righteous Might that all your melee weapon strikes carry divine power with them. Whenever you hit a creature with a melee weapon, the creature takes an extra D8 radiant damage. If you also use your Divine Smite with an attack, you add this damage to the extra damage of your Divine Smite. So, that's just so much extra damage. 2d8 just for hitting with the weapon every time we hit, with up to 6 attacks a turn. And, say then on a crit at this point, so I think that's actually 48, 8d8, 10d8, plus 2d6, plus 10, 14, 16, and if you have a 24 strength, an additional plus 20 damage. So it's like, yeah, I think if my math is correct, it's like 10d8 plus 2d6 plus 20.
But it begs the question, though. 10d8, you're looking at around, I think you said 40. But at the same time, DC's damage pool isn't nearly as big as 5e, is it not?
Right. So, like, yeah, this character does not completely translate over to DC20, but this is using, like, 5e just to show what could be possible with talents if you had access to them in a similar fashion. Yeah. You do less damage and you have less hit points in DC20. That is true. And you get the extra. Oh, you know what? Shoot! And then on the critical, I'm wrong. It's even more than that because you're getting three extra damage dice on that critical. It's like 13d8 plus 2d6 plus 20. Yeah, 50.
13 by 4 is 52.
65 damage just from the d8s, and then 20, it's 85 plus an additional 8, so 65, 8, 73 damage average, I believe. That's just for the first attack, and then you have 5 more that aren't going to deal as much, of course, because unless you crit. Now I chat Twitch just
needed his phone number.
I'm having a hard time reading it from here, but
yeah, that's why I'm leaning in.
So yeah, I mean the cool thing here, I guess, if I had to just wrap final thoughts on what my goal was, is to show that in this in DC20 you would level as your primary class, as you saw this character continue to grow as a barbarian, continue to get more rages, continue to deal more rage damage, and at the same time picked up the features that it wanted from specific classes without slowing down its progression as a barbarian. And there are interesting choices, and this wouldn't be the only right way to do this build, or to do a build in general, because
absolutely not.
If you took features from the rogue, you would have a totally different character. If you took most of your features from the rogue and went like a sneak attack route, you could have probably even more damage, maybe, and you could still snag action surge out of a fighter, and you'd have a really powerful character that way as well. Do you have any final thoughts on the build, or anything in general?
I am very excited to see where this goes.
Yeah. Subclasses, I believe, are going to be in the beta for DC20 0.9. 0.8, I believe, comes out the beginning of July, and that is, I think, where Dungeon Coach said he was going to have more information on the talent system and the multiclassing. If you haven't already, it's a good time to check out the Kickstarter, which lasts till the beginning of July. I forget what the date is. But if you back today or tomorrow, you get a bunch of freebies also. And
oh, I wish I could.
Yeah.
But in light of recent events, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I can't afford that right now.
Yeah, yep, I understand that, but a blessing as well.
True.
Without saying too much. Um, so yeah, I guess to close out, my name is Gary. I am one half of Roll With Us DMs. I run games on StartPlaying.gaming. I have a Lost Mines of Phandelver 5e game that's currently in progress. I have room for up to 2 more players in that. I have DC20 content on StartPlaying.gaming. And as far as I'm aware, I'm the only person that has DC20 content on StartPlaying. So if you're looking to try out DC20, I have The Hunted, which was created by the Dungeon Coach for the alpha playtest, and I have his blessing to run it. So you can join The Hunted on StartPlaying. It's a good short adventure, showcases a lot of DC20's gameplay mechanics, including skill challenges, combat, and social interactions and that. So it's a good module. And I've also been working on converting Lost Mines of Phandelver to DC20. That is also on StartPlaying.gaming currently. And very soon I'll have Menace Under Otari from Pathfinder 2nd Edition's beginner box. I just finished converting that yesterday, so that will also be on StartPlaying.gaming. That's a shorter one, probably 3 sessions with a session 0. So if you are interested, that's another good one probably to test out the system, because, you know, it's only 2 sessions of actual gameplay in a module that was created to teach another system, but that, you know, Pathfinder and DC20 have a lot in common in the action economy and that, so it should be a good experience, I think. And
Geek Squad suggested the Discord link.
Discord link. Yeah, I am maybe, I don't know if Allie is looking at this or not, if she can drop the Discord link into Twitch. This video will be on...
Somebody just did.
This video will be on Rumble later tonight, and we can put all the links in the YouTube description later. Yeah. So that's the DC20 end of things for me. I've just mostly been working on converting either Pathfinder 2nd Edition or 5th Edition D&D to DC20. So I have those options up there, and then also the Hunted, and then I have that 5e game that I have currently posted, as well as Menace Under Otari, the Pathfinder 2e beginner box, ran in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So if anybody was interested in trying out Pathfinder 2nd Edition, I've run it several times, including at conventions, so I'm pretty seasoned in running the beginner box for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And it, you know, again, it's like a small commitment, couple weeks, free session 0, then 2 more sessions. Yeah. Also, if you do play in the beginner box in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, I have run for Pathfinder Society, and I can get you started in Pathfinder Society. No pressure, though, if you just want to play and not, you know, not continue into Society. So, yeah, we have our website also, Roll With Us DMs. My wife puts blogs up, which actually Sandy has been partaking in. So it's really interesting in that regard. She has blogs, and now Zanny's written some blogs through his character's eyes. but they're all like in the campaign world that she's currently running. So pretty cool. We have the YouTube channel, also Roll with SDMs, and then of course this Twitch channel, and then we're on Start Playing, and that's us as far as gaming. We also own a company, Top Notch Ceramic Trees and Top Notch Ornaments. So throughout the year we make ceramic Christmas trees, mostly for wholesale, although we do have a retail shop, and then we also personalized Christmas ornaments over the holiday season. And with that, I think that is all the stumping I have. Danny?
I mean, other than plugging my own channel, I can't think of anything else to say.
No. You know, since I've decided to grow in this beard, it's got me thinking of your beard sorcery link, but
That's true. Which, if in that case, if you go to beardsorcery.com and use the promo code Xanipator, which is XANIPATOR, you will get 10% off your first order.
Cool. Any other parting thoughts, or otherwise I think we've been at the short rest for a little over an hour.
Yeah.
Not nearly as long as my first ones, though. I definitely
No,
want to thank you for coming on. It was a blast hanging out with you. It was...
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Definitely refreshing from, being on my own, just talking about stuff. Much more fun having a co-host. So maybe we'll have to plan on doing this again sometime.
Sure.
Well, I hope you spent some hit dice and you're ready to get back to your day. I'm fully healed and I'm out of here. I got quite the adventure still to take care of. Toilet guts to change and other things to take care of. So I'm going to head out. But
all right.
Yeah. See ya.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the content that you just saw, consider joining one of our games at startplaying.gaming/rollwithusdms.